It is normal for the player to fight a boss to advance the plot, make the scene dramatic, or because it is a boss rush game. But what players don't realize is that a game with several bosses can be compared to the math term rate of change. In this video, we will discuss how to do rate of change and compare it to bosses. Table or with coordinates. When you have a graph with 2 points and that's due rate of change, it is easy to just count the spaces between the dots. First by counting up or down, and then left or right. Up and down is called rise, and left to right is called run. So remember, it is rise over run. For a table, count the numbers in between each other on the same side of the graph and look for a pattern. Then put the y or rise pattern on top and the x or run pattern on the bottom. With coordinates, the formula is the second y value minus the first y value, then second x value minus the first x value.
Hello everybody, my name is Garrett. Today I'm going to be doing a small lesson on my whiteboard about rate of change and the rate of change of deaths per boss in video games. So as you can see, I have a table of values right here, and then I've got a coordinate plane here, which I'll be getting to later. So as you can see, it's labeled days on the right side and then deaths per boss on the left. So what this means is as you spend more days playing a video game and getting that experience, your deaths per boss kind of revolve around that or are based around that. So, for example, the first one I have here is after 3 days of playing, you died 30 times against a boss, so you had 30 deaths per boss. And then, with 5 days of playing, you died 25 times in deaths per boss because of more experience in the video game. Then after 10 days, you only died 15 times, right? And then, after 15 days, you only died 5 times against the boss. So as you can see here, as days increase, excuse my handwriting, the actual amount of deaths per boss is at a somewhat steady decrease, right? So I'm gonna, take these numbers and then I'll apply them to the graph so that way you can get a better visual of what that slope would look like on an actual graph. So I'm gonna label it, let's see, so days will be on the x-axis and deaths per boss, which I have, abbreviated to DPD for anybody that's wondering. So this is deaths per boss. So the first death per boss, alright, so up to 30. Excuse my handwriting once again, not a very big whiteboard, so did the best that I could with space. Anyway, so 30 deaths, which is right here, after 3 days, so 3 days, 30 deaths. I'm going to plot that point right about there. Then, after 5 days, you had 25 deaths, or whoever, had the 25 deaths. So I'll make a rough estimate. That'll probably be like roughly right here, rough guesstimate, right? And then, after 10 days, so, So I'll only do 3 of the points, but after 10 days, there's 15 deaths. So 10, there's 15 roughly right here. So make an arrow to show that trend downward. As you can see here, as I demonstrated right here, as the days went on, the deaths per boss actually went down. So theoretically, it would be, once you've played enough days, the death per boss would be 0, so you'd just be beating the boss without actually having to restart.
To see if you guys and gals understand, I'm going to give you a problem to solve. Let's say you want to play a video game, but you're toying between Cuphead and Just Chase and Beats. You have a bunch of hours to kill, so you want the hardest game you can get. You remember that Bebby the Clown took 27 deaths to defeat, and later with Sally Sageplate, it took about 14 deaths. With Just Chase and Beats, New Game took 14 deaths, and Final Boss took 11. Based on these numbers, make a graph, table, or equation to solve which game is harder. I'm going to give you guys 5 seconds to solve. The correct answer is Cuphead. Even though it has a bigger gap between the bosses and deaths, it still causes you to die more, making it harder.
Now that you have absorbed all of that information, time to go over some key points. Remember, rate of change can be represented by a graph, table of values, or with coordinates. With a graph, counting up or down is the y-axis, and counting left or right is the x-axis. The y-axis is when you rise, and the x-axis is the run. The order would be rise over 1, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. This slope formula will get you your slope. Thanks for watching.